Welcome to our Organic Certification module.
This module was authored by Christine Moncada, Harriet Bahar, Jim Riddle, Constance Carlson, and Craig Scheifer of the University of Minnesota in 2017 and updated in 2026. Narrated by Constance Carlson, with additional narration generated using the AI voice of Hannah from ElevenLabs.
Why should you consider organic certification? Only farmers that are certified can legally use the USDA Organic Seal. Certification allows you access to organic markets and to potentially improved profitability. Not only that, but certified organic practices can increase the environmental sustainability of your operation and help protect the environment from contamination from synthetic pesticides and other harmful substances. For more on how organic is defined by the National Organic Program, please watch our What is Organic module. We are going to cover the steps in the organic certification process. First, let's start with an overview of the basics. What exactly is certification? Certification is the process that verifies organic regulations have been followed by the farmer. To get certified, farmers must work with certifying agencies, which are organizations in the business of conducting organic certification. An organic certificate is issued annually by the certifier when all requirements are met. Once an operation is certified, crops, livestock, and processed products can be sold as organic. Organic crop producers, livestock producers, and processors all need to be certified. Please note, we are primarily focusing on crop producers for the purpose of this module. There is an additional factor to consider: the amount of sales. Operations with more than $5,000 in annual organic sales have to be certified. Operations with less than $5,000 can still use the organic term, but not the seal, if they are following NOP rules and their production is sold directly to the final organic consumer. Lastly, you should know that farmers who are just transitioning to organic are not required to be certified. The USDA Agricultural Marketing Service administers the National Organic Program, but it does not certify farmers. Instead, it accredits certifiers as agents to conduct organic certification. Worldwide, there are 80 certifiers, 48 in the United States and 32 in other countries. They can be private or state-sponsored. For instance, Iowa's Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship has a certification program, but Minnesota's Department of Agriculture does not. Some universities and crop improvement associations are also approved to certify organic operations. Certifying agents can be for-profit or non-profit. As stated in the previous slide, there are many certification agencies from which to choose. How will you decide?
In addition to choosing a certification agency, this module will cover applying for certification, inspection, and the certification decision process.
The USDA Agricultural Marketing Service lists all the certifiers in the country by state. In Minnesota, the Minnesota Department of Agriculture offers a list of certifiers that operate in Minnesota. Other states' departments of agriculture will offer similar lists. You are allowed to choose any accredited certifying agent that suits your needs. First, make sure that the certifier operates in your state. Verify that the certifier covers your type of operation, whether it is crop, livestock, or processor. For instance, Most certifiers will certify crop operations, but they may not certify processors or handlers. If you are selling to international markets, an international agency and their certificate may help in marketing. Another consideration is timeliness. Can they certify your operation in time for you to sell your first organic crop? Certification can take 4 to 6 months from submitted application to your certificate, so plan accordingly to find a certifier. And lastly, if you have potential buyers lined up, do they have a preference on which certifier you use? How can you learn more about certifying agencies? Ask others who farm organically for recommendations. You can visit the agency's websites for program manuals and forms, and you can contact them directly if you have questions. Another way to connect is to visit certifiers' booths at organic conferences. This can be a good way to make contacts and ask questions in person, as well as determining if the philosophy of the certifying agency matches yours. Certification costs vary by agency, but National Organic Programs rules require fees to be public. Certification agencies may base their fees on production volume and/or sales. Contact certifying agencies for estimates for your operation. Crops, livestock, and handling will each require separate certification. Cost share programs for certification are available either at the state or federal level. Current programs cover up to $750 per certification per year. Once you've decided which certification agency to use, you will need to apply for certification. The certification process takes some time, so don't wait until the last minute. Apply 3 to 6 months before you are ready to sell your crop as organic. Retroactive certification for a crop from a previous crop year is not allowed. What will you need to start certification? You will need your transition records, such as seed tags, fertility inputs, and field history, and supporting documents along with your field map. Please see our module on record keeping for more information on these. You will also need to complete your certifier's organic system plan, which basically functions as your application to become certified. The records you have been keeping will play a key role in completing your OSP. The OSP is a management plan of how you will meet the goals of an organic system. It is required by NOP rules and your certifier when you apply to be certified. You will update it every year you remain certified. It includes written plans concerning all aspects of agricultural production as described in NOP rules. Your OSP helps your certifier figure out if your operation is compliant. While numerous pages long, many of the questions you need to answer are multiple choice checkboxes, and you will not need to write a lengthy narrative of your farm activities. The organic system plan includes detailed production practices, such as equipment and maintenance and inputs you will be using. You need to include problems you anticipate and how you will address them. Other questions to answer include: how will you monitor your production, such as by soil testing? Or how will you prevent contamination, such as commingling?
On this slide, we show a person taking a soil sample in a cornfield.
The first time you fill out an OSP, it will be time-consuming, taking several hours to complete. Answer all the questions and answer as completely as possible. Be clear, otherwise the document might be sent back from the certifier. Be conscientious. Don't rush, because that can be a reflection of your commitment. You are required to follow your OSP, so make sure that the information you provide is realistic and accurate. Remember that this document goes to the certifier, who, unlike the inspector, will not be visiting your farm in person, so paint a complete picture of your operation. The certifier is the one who decides your fate. You may worry about your organic system plan being written in stone. The key word here is plan, so you will have some flexibility. Changes such as in your rotation may happen and may be allowed. Contact your certifier before you make changes. You must keep track of changes and remember that any change must follow organic regulations. Contact your certifier especially when using a new material so they can verify it is allowed. Your certifier is the best resource if you have any questions about particular substances. What happens after you submit your application? First, the certifier reviews your application, your OSP, to make sure you meet the organic regulations for your farm's production. If there are any areas left blank, the certifier will ask for them to be completed. If there are other questions concerning compliance to the organic rules, they may also ask for clarification. The certifier will determine when you are ready for the next step, which is the inspection. This process probably seems like a lot of work. Please remember that your original OSP will be used as the base for future years. So in each subsequent year, the updates will be much shorter than the first year, which is more comprehensive. Now that you've submitted your OSP and your certifier has indicated that you are ready, the next step is the inspection. The inspection is the process where the inspector from your certification agency visits your farm. The inspection ensures that your operation is in compliance with NOP rules and that your OSP is accurate. It also assesses your records and audit trail. One example of what they will verify is that the production of each crop matches what is sold. This prevents non-organic product from being sold as organic. We've been using the terms certifier and inspector, but we realize exactly who these people are can be confusing. It is an NOP rule that the person who certifies can't be the same person who inspects. Here is an outline of the differences between a certifying agent and an inspector. Inspectors visit your farm while certifiers do not. Your certifier verifies that what is on your OSP follows NOP rules, and your inspector verifies that your farm practices match your OSP. Your inspector does not make a decision on certification. That is up to your certifier. Often, inspectors are independent contractors, and most are members of the International Organic Inspectors Association, known as the IOIA. Remember, certifiers and inspectors are not crop consultants. You can ask questions of either person, but neither can offer advice beyond what is prohibited and what is allowed so that you will be compliant. Please check out the other modules in this series to get specific organic production information.
Here we show organic compost, which is an allowed amendment, and synthetic urea, which is not an allowed amendment.
Once you are ready to schedule your inspection, be aware that it must occur when the crops are in the field. So in the upper Midwest, it can't happen in winter. Someone who is knowledgeable of the operation will need to be present. Generally, an inspection can take several hours, so make sure to take that into account. Here is an overview of how your inspection might occur. At the beginning, you have a meeting, and then there will be a tour of your farm. Next, there will be a review of your records, and finally, an exit interview. If it has to do with your production, organic or not, it is fair game to be inspected. If you have a split operation, the inspector will audit the conventional side too. Basically, everything that is part of your record keeping, labels, receipts, field maps, logs, soil tests, will need to be available for the inspector. You should not have to worry about privacy. Inspectors will keep your information confidential with the certification agency. The inspector will probably have other appointments, so be ready on time. Have all documents available for the inspection. If your OSP is complete and correct, things will go fine. If there are changes to the OSP, be prepared to share the changes with the inspector. You should be ready to address any issues brought up by the certifier with the inspector. Remember that if the inspector has to come back, it will be at your expense. As we said, if you have prepared your OSP well, things should go smoothly. However, it is possible your inspector could find something about your operation that is not in compliance with NOP rules. Here are some of the common non-compliance issues that may occur during the certification process. Lack of records, use of synthetically treated seed, use of prohibited materials, lack of labels for inputs, seed, or feed, and missing application deadlines. Regarding the use of prohibited materials, don't take the vendor's word that inputs are allowed. You must check with your certifier and make sure to get documentation from the vendor. How your certifier will treat each non-compliance issue will depend on the nature of the infraction. The certification process is not finished yet. The certifier still needs to decide whether to grant certification to your operation. After your inspection, the inspector will write a report detailing what they saw on your farm and how it compares to your written OSP and to the organic regulations. The certifier reviews the report and your application. They will be looking for whether regulations were followed in the prior 36 months, if the OSP is complete and accurate, and if the inspection matches the OSP. Then they make a decision on your certification. The certifier may provide certification with or without conditions. They may issue a notice of minor non-compliance for issues that are correctable, for which the producer will have a specific time frame to make changes. Correctable issues might be missing documentation that the corn requested for organic certification was grown from an untreated non-GMO seed. In a less than ideal situation, the certifier may issue a denial of certification for non-correctable violations or a major non-compliance. An example of a non-correctable issue might be the use of a prohibited synthetic herbicide on a field requested for organic certification. Certifiers must detail the reasons for all non-compliances and/or denials of certification. In this module, we covered the basic steps in the certification process as shown in this diagram.
The steps are transition period, completion of the organic system plan, certifier review, inspection, another certifier review, certification of your operation, and finally, recertification on a yearly basis.
Once you are a certified organic farmer, you will need to recertify on a yearly basis. Don't worry. The recertification process likely will be less time-consuming. Remember to renew according to the certifier's timeline for your operation. We hope that we have provided you with a good summary of what happens during the certification process. Good luck with your certification.
This project is supported by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, National Institute of Food and Agriculture, Organic Transitions Program under Award Number 2013-5, 1106-2-1005. This project is supported by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Agricultural Marketing Service, National Organic Program under the Transition to Organic Partnership Program, TOPP, in the Midwest region. Any opinions, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this publication are those of the authors and should not be construed to represent any official USDA or U.S. government determination or policy. The University of Minnesota shall provide equal access to and opportunity in its programs, facilities, and employment without regard to race, color, creed, religion, national origin, gender, age, marital status, familial status, disability, public assistance status, membership or activity in a local commission created for the purpose of dealing with discrimination, veteran status, sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. For more information about this project, please see organicag.umn.edu, copyright 2026, Regents of the University of Minnesota. All rights reserved.